Hey guys, I have two books to review today and have had kind of an Asian theme going on because they're both autobiographies, and the first one is from China and the second is from Japan. So the first book is called Chinese Cinderella, The True Story of an Unwanted Daughter by Adeline Yen Ma. And this was a really quick read, and I really didn't want to put it down. It was just so interesting. And it's actually, like it sounds, it's very similar to the story of Cinderella, where Adeline was the fifth child. She had three older brothers and an older sister. And a few days after childbirth, her mother died. So her family considered her unlucky and the cause of her mother's death, as unfair as that is. And so then this follows her. For a while, it wasn't so bad growing up, but then her father remarried and had two more children with her stepmother. And the stepmother is just a monster and treated them badly and ignored them. And even though she had her grandparents and an aunt who cared about her and stuck up for her, being a traditional Chinese family from, I think it was like the 1940s, they really didn't have much say in the family, or they weren't the head of the family, so, what they wanted did not matter. So this follows her, growing up and being ignored and being treated differently than the two new siblings. And even her real siblings are awful to her. And part of it is because I think they're just mean and not very nice people. And then part of it is because someone had to be, the bottom of the totem pole. And so it was like if someone had to be treated badly, they were not going to pick themselves, so they picked the youngest. So it was a really sad story, but it was inspiring because even though, everyone treated her badly and didn't pay attention to her and she was nothing to them, she always worked super hard in school and was the top of her class and got all these awards. And she was just determined to make something of herself and hoped that, her father would see this and grow to love her more and pay attention to her. And one part that really struck me was they kept sending her away to boarding schools all alone. And on the way to one, he had to fill out forms on her. And he realized that he had forgotten her given name. Because when he got remarried, his new wife gave all the children English names, which is how she got the Adeline. And so he couldn't remember her Chinese name, and he also didn't know her birthday. So he just gave her his birthday. And I mean, that's so sad. Can you imagine your father forgetting your birth name and your birthday? It's just really sad. And just some of the stuff she goes through. But it was a really good read, really interesting, kind of depressing. But it says that she wrote another one, I think it's called Falling Leaves, about after she was grown up and her father dies, how her stepmother tried to keep her out of the will, or the will was changed, and, fighting for all this with her siblings. So I'm probably going to have to pick that up and check it out because I want to see how this story kind of ends up. I know it ends kind of well because she's successful and married and got away from all of them, but definitely a compelling read. You should give it a try if you're interested in, there's some Chinese history and then autobiographies in this really interesting story. So I like that one. That's probably like 4 stars for me, 4 out of 5. And then the second book, this one from Japan, is called Geisha, A Life by Mineko Iwasaki. And this is a story about a girl named Mineko that was actually, she took that name after becoming a geisha. I forgot her original name. But she was one of the most successful geisha of her time. And it's the story of her life. And when I first started it, you find out that she goes to begin her geisha training very young. I think she was like 7 or something. And so I assumed her parents sent her off and it was going to be an awful story and she was going to be regret it and hate it. But no, she actually kind of chose it herself. I mean, her parents kind of influenced her a little bit, but they always said, if you don't want to go, you don't have to. You can always come home to us. But no, she went and she became very successful and just worked real hard. And so I find the whole geisha culture really interesting, and you get to hear how all of it works and all the training and how much work it is. And part of me loves how formal it all is and how formal and set in stone all the social interactions are. Like how you would visit your customers and the businesses that you deal with every day just to keep business relations going. And I mean, it sounds ridiculous to us, or to me at least. Can you imagine visiting everyone you do business with every day just to keep your relationships going? But so and I don't know, part of that I just find really cool, and how just like you knew how things worked, and you know the societal norms did not change. Like you knew how people were going to react and what you had to do and what they had to do, but then part of it just seems so antiquated and restricting. Like you followed the rules and you did what you were supposed to. So I don't know. It partially seems like really cool, and I wish I could experience that. And part of it was like, no, I couldn't deal with all that. And they were also polite, and you know that you could not speak against or speak against, you know, the people in charge, your teachers, your bosses, or whatever it was. So yeah, you get a peek inside the geisha life, and I just thought that was really cool and really interesting. The book was a little dry to me, a little bit of dry reading, like, because I loved Memoirs of a Geisha, which obviously was fiction while this is nonfiction, but that you really felt like you were in the story. And even with the first book, the Chinese Cinderella, you felt like you were there. While this was more like listening to an interesting lecture, where you followed her life story and you got an insight to her, but you weren't like there, you weren't like seeing it with her. So I still liked it, and I read it pretty quickly, but I can't say that it was like really, really like super compelling, and I couldn't put it down. But definitely, if you are interested in Japan and geishas and all that kind of stuff, definitely worth reading. An interesting perspective, because while she, I think, enjoyed being a geisha and worked very hard, she retired when she was only 29 and just wanted to get out of it, because she wanted to change things about how it ran and about giving the girls more independence and more choices with their life. And you know, the art form had been around for so long that the elders didn't want to change anything, so she just got sick of it and left and went on to do numerous other things. So she was really inspiring, and you see how just because she was successful, she was treated badly by other geishas, and there was jealousy and fighting and all that. So yeah, all that's interesting and good reading, but not the best I've ever read, let me just say that. But yeah, I would recommend it. I always find Japan fascinating and good to read about and get into their culture a little bit. So I would recommend this one. This one's probably just 3 out of 5 stars though. 3.5, somewhere around there. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Hope you enjoyed. If you've read either of them or have any comments about anything, let me know.